Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Wednesday. I hope you're having a good one wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. As always, thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And it's done. It is done. International break over. The Premier League is returning very, very soon. Thank heavens for that. I'll tell you what, it was a good ending to the international break, Arsenal-wise, anyway, which of course we're going to talk about today. Mikel Merino, that man does it again. Goal-scoring machine. 2 goals for Spain. Man of the match performance. Unbelievable what that man is doing on the international stage at the moment. So we'll talk about him. Eberiche Eze scored yesterday. Fantastic for England. Qualified for the World Cup. We're going to USA. Come on, England boys. We'll round up the rest of the international action. We're going to talk about Christian Mosquera, who's given an interview. He's been playing for Spain under-21s. He's given an interview to The Athletic. So a couple of interesting things about Max Dowman, which we'll talk about. Max Dowman, it was a record-breaking day again for him. Yesterday, the records continue to tumble when it comes to Max Dowman. And I got some comments and some questions from you guys as well. But we've got to start with the man of the moment. This man, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see he's done it again. Mikel Merino, 2 goals last night for Spain. The first 2 goals in their win against Bulgaria. I think it was Bulgaria. I'm doubting myself now. I'm pretty sure it's Bulgaria. Just unbelievable what Mikel Merino has been. They got a penalty at injury time and they didn't give it to Merino. I couldn't believe it. Just let him have his hat-trick again. But I suppose he's so bored of scoring goals for Spain now. He needs to share them around a little bit. But it's remarkable. He has now scored 36% of Spain's goals in the World Cup qualifiers this season. Only Erling Haaland, 41%, as a highest share for his national team. Remarkable. You look at his numbers yesterday, 40 of 46 passes completed, 12 touches in the opposition box, 5 chances created, 5 shots, 4 possessions, 3 fouls, 2 big chances created, 2 shots on target, 2 goals, won the penalty as well. 8 goals in 8 games for Spain in 2025, and it's 6 goals in his last 4 World Cup qualifiers. Just remarkable numbers for what he is doing. For a defensive midfielder, which so many people seem to think that he is. Unbelievable. Yeah, fair play to him last night. Brilliant day again. And it's interesting. I've got so many questions straight away on this. And even like Warwick's got in touch here on the Discord, says, do you think Arteta will start Merino at the weekend again like he did after the last international break? Who would have thought Merino would be the highest scoring Arsenal player this season so far, including club and country? He scored 46% of Spain's goals. Yeah, no, just fraction too much there. I think I did see the number. What did I say? It was 36% he scored of Spain's goals. Do I think Arteta will start Merino? Well, last time, didn't he? He did start him. Was it Anfield? Was that the Anfield game straight after the international break when he scored a hat-trick for Spain? And he scored 4 goals in 2 games for Spain over the last international break. And Mikel started him. And when he was asked why he started him, he said, I wanted to sort of build on that momentum that he got. I can't remember if it was the Liverpool game at Anfield or it might have been the game at the Emirates, wasn't it, when he left Declan Rice on the bench and he started Merino instead. But whatever game it was, he said he wanted to build on the momentum that Merino sort of returned home from the international break with. I don't think he'll start him, though, this weekend. It's impossible to say never because you never know when it comes to Arteta. He really loves Mikel Merino. Of course, we know that. But I'd be surprised in this game if he does start him, even with Martin Odegaard injured. I just think we've seen a little bit of a shift from Mikel, probably starting from that halftime substitution against Manchester City when Merino did go off and he brought on Eze. I just feel like maybe that was a bit of a sliding doors moment in this season, and we've seen Mikel sort of decide to move away from that other midfield 3, and when Odegaard's not fit, to playing slightly more on the front foot midfield 3, which sounds stupid when you think about the goals that Merino has scored, but you all know what I mean. When it comes to Merino, Zubimendi and Rice playing together, it just never quite feels like it works. And I think we've seen some good stuff from it as in the midfield, in the Odegaard role. So I don't think we'll see it. But you do never say never when it comes to Mikel Arteta and Mikel Merino. But anyway, just congratulations to Merino. Remarkable run of form for Spain. Just such a goal threat. Both headers were really, really good as well. You know, you get the ball in the penalty area. There is not many players you want attacking it more than Mikel Merino, because more often than not, he makes it his. He's such an interesting player, Merino. He really, really is. And he's still got a huge part to play this season. He, of course, wasn't the only Arsenal player to have a good final day of the international break. First of all, it started yesterday with Gabriel Martinelli starting for Brazil over in their game against Japan. Really interesting. I watched this game. Well, I watched up until the point that Martinelli went off. And initially, when the team news came out, it's not Martinelli's playing as a striker. Vinicius is playing on the out wide. But then when the game started, it was Martinelli on the left and Vinicius was playing as a central striker. But they rotated so much during that especially the first half. Martinelli spent loads of that first 45 minutes for Brazil playing as the central striker. He actually scored his goal coming in off the left-hand side. It was a lovely little run, scooped past, I think it was Paqueta over the back four. Martinelli made that run behind, sort of in between the fullback and the centre-back. Let the ball bounce. Lovely finish of his left foot into the far corner. So great for Martinelli to score that goal, and an interesting performance, I think, given the positions he was taking up. And so many people believe we should be seeing him more playing as a central option for Arsenal, but Arteta has rarely done that. But when he does play in those central areas, like yesterday, and you see some of the runs he makes when he gets in a sort of shooting position from that area, he does look very, very dangerous. So I thought it was interesting half, or certainly interesting first 55 minutes. Absolute collapse by Brazil, by the way, once Martinelli had gone off, losing that game, had been 2-0 up, obviously losing 3-2. Eze came off the bench to score for England, the final goal in their win over in Latvia yesterday, which booked their spot in the USA, first European country to qualify for the World Cup. Lovely finish from Eze, getting it on the left-hand side, cutting inside on his right foot. Brilliant finish into the far corner. So we had a goal for him. Max Dowman broke some records yesterday, broke another record yesterday, scoring for the England under-19s in their game against Wales. He'd already become the youngest ever player to represent the country at that level, and now he's the youngest ever player to score for the country at that level. Just honestly, the records that he's breaking right now are pretty remarkable. He's doing it at such a rate. I think there's still plenty more records that he's going to break between now and, I don't know, the next, well, certainly his 18th birthday anyway. Could have had another couple of goals yesterday, actually, Dowman, in that game, but did score one, and you could see it was a bit of a relief because he'd missed a couple of chances before that. So another record for him. Christian Mosquera is actually talking about him. Mosquera's done an interview with The Athletic while he's been away on international duty, and he was talking about Max Dowman, and this is what he had to say. The interview is with The Athletic. I'll drop the interview link into the video description below if you want to read it. He says some interesting stuff about Arteta and how Arteta convinced him to sign. He talks about Andrea Berta and the influence that he's had. Talks about lots and lots of stuff about the time at Arsenal. But on Dowman, he says, I don't mean to compare. I love it when he says that. I don't mean to compare, but then he goes and does it anyway. I don't mean to compare, but his style and way of playing is like Lamine Yamal. His movements are Lamine-esque. I didn't have him on my radar, but when I got to Singapore, he was already training and playing. When they told me he was 15, I couldn't believe it. He really is an incredible player. I think he is going to be world class. So that's what Christian Mosquera had to say on Max Dowman. Like I said, if you want to read the rest of that interview that he's done in The Athletic, you can find the link down into the video description. I've retweeted it as well earlier. It's well worth your time. Like I said, he talks about Arteta, he talks about the move, talks about the competition of Saliba, Gabriel, talks about he's coming on at Anfield for his debut, all that sort of thing. There's lots of it, so it's very much worth your time. You can find the link down in the description below. Right, going to move on to some questions and comments now. I've got here one from Elijah on Patreon. It says, if Odegaard is missing the set of games with the squad depth this season, it is this season is an issue. There is a much bigger issue at hand. More interesting to me is whether or not he can ease back in. Last year, he never seemed to recapture his form. I don't know that he will jump in and be immediate name on the starting 11, and likely not for a full 90 for a period. Not having to rely on a healthy Odegaard to get results or be a creative playmaker every game will hopefully help keep him healthy too. I mean, it's a good point, because last season when he did come back from that ankle injury, I remember it was at Stamford Bridge, wasn't it? And he suddenly was back in the squad, and everyone thought, oh, he's back with the squad. And then the team sheet came out, and he was playing, he was starting, and he was just straight back into it. And Arteta has talked about that at times before in terms of Odegaard's ability to be back fit and then just be able to play straight away for kind of like 90 minutes. And he did do that last season. Initially, it worked because he played very well in that game against Chelsea. And it looked like, wow, he's just back. But then it tailed off after that, didn't it? And maybe that was because he did come back too soon, or he put too much demands on his body too soon when he did get back to fitness. Arsenal don't have to do that with Odegaard now. As Elijah said, they can just take their time with him when he is back fit. It's a case of easing him back in to the 11, because the options Arsenal have already spoken about. Merino, who is clearly an option. He's not the most popular option, certainly amongst the Arsenal fans, but he is an option to play there. And you've got Eze who can play there. You've got Ethan Nwaneri who can play there. Kai Havertz, hopefully he'll be back fairly soon. And then Kai Havertz could potentially play in one of those 8 positions as well. So there are lots of options that Arsenal have in the squad now, which will hopefully allow them not to do what they did with Odegaard last season and rush him back in. Elijah also asked there, also you mentioned about loaning players out to Luton with Wiltshire in the future. Are there any players you can imagine taking that route next year? It's tough when you look at Arsenal's under 21s at the moment. The younger age groups at Arsenal are very, very exciting, but the under 21s is a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. It's very, very young, or some of them are very, very young. And the players who are sort of older, like the Charles Sago Jr., who's playing for the under 21s at the moment, probably should have gone in the summer. The expectation he was going to go somewhere in the summer. He stayed put because the move didn't materialise, and we'll wait and see what happens in January. But I mean, he is someone who you look at Sago Jr., he's had a couple of loans already that haven't quite worked out. He's went to Shrewsbury and he went to Swansea, and that didn't quite work out. Maybe here's someone in January who, because I know he's looking in January for a move, either be permanent or a loan. Maybe that is a route Arsenal could go down. It's a player that Wilshere knows very, very well. You know, it's League One. It could be something that could work. And you look at some of the other players, you know, Josh Nichols, I feel like needs a proper loan. He needs to get out and start playing some football now. Another player that Jack Wilshere knows very, very well. Could that be an option for him? Makes a lot of sense. It's not a big move. He doesn't have to go very far. It's to a manager that he knows very well. And again, at a level of League One, you would think he could have a decent run of things. So I think those are the two that really stand out for me now. The others, I feel maybe a little bit young for a low move just yet, but there are some others coming through which we'll know all about, who maybe in a couple of years' time might be ready to sort of dip their toe into senior football. So it's certainly one to keep an eye on, and I'm looking forward to it. But I think immediate future, Sago Jr. and Josh Nichols are the ones that immediately kind of jump out as me as potential needing loans in January that Wiltshire could be able to help out with. John has got in touch. He's given his predictions for the next 12 points on offer, and how the league table might look at the end of these next 4 league games before the next international break. Before I get into this, John, I hope you're right with this one. So John is predicting Arsenal 10 points for the next 12 games, plus the 16 that they're already on. That takes them to 26 points. He thinks the Spurs will get 8 from the next 4, and that'll take them to 22. City will get 8 as well. That'll take them to 21. Palace will get 9. That takes them to 21. Liverpool only 5 from a possible 12. So they're going to be on 20 points, according to John, going into the next international break. Arsenal will be 6 points ahead of Liverpool, and then Bournemouth with just 4 points for the next 12 and sitting on 18. John, remind me of this. Take a screenshot, John, and come back to me at the end of these next 4 games, and let's see how right or wrong you are on this. So these are your predictions. Arsenal with a 4-point lead, you're predicting, going into the next international break, and a 6-point lead over Liverpool, 5 over City. I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. I'll be very, very happy with that outcome. Okay, it's Tony now. He says, no concerns at all about the squad situation, Charles. We have spent so much time worrying about injuries for years. Not now, in my honest opinion. I, for one, am happy with this squad. Nobody will want to play the Arsenal, Charles. Not arrogance. We are just happy and in a better place. I thought that was a nice comment from Tony. And I think you're right. There are no concerns about the squad. I want Kai Havertz back fit. You know, that is my only concern at the moment, is that Victor Gyökeres is having to play so much football. And you look at the run of form that he's on now, and you do wonder, is the fact that he has been run into the ground basically at the moment in his first few months at a new club in a new league, where there is always a bit of time for acclimatization. I can never say that word, honestly. You know what I mean. But you do sometimes need time to acclimatize. And he's not really been able to do that because he's just had to play all of the time. So now when his form's just tailing off a little bit and he's struggling, maybe there's a confidence issue there. You know, sometimes you need to be taken out the firing line a little bit just to get yourself going again. But Arsenal can't really do that because of no Kai Havertz, because there's no Gabriel Jesus. So I would like Havertz back. That's my only concern at the moment about the squad situation. Aside from that, I'm with you, Tony. Everywhere else I look around the squad, it's just so well stocked. The options are plentiful. The options are really, really strong as well. And no matter what Mikel Arteta does, what team he puts out, whether at Craven Cottage on Saturday or in the Champions League against the Atleti on Tuesday night, I think it's Tuesday, yeah. I'm going to be very, very confident because of the squad depth that Arsenal now have. So, yeah, I'm with you. No concerns. And I agree, no one will want to play Arsenal this season. But yeah, well, when I say no concerns, it is just, it would be very nice for Kai Havertz to be back. Very nice. Hopefully it will happen sooner rather than later. Gabriel Jesus as well. And should that happen, then wow, it is one seriously, seriously stacked squad. And that is it. I should have said at the start of this, actually, Inside Arsenal Extra Time. I'm going to sit down with James a little bit later on and we're going to record an episode of Inside Arsenal Extra Time. So that will be coming a little bit later. As always, if you want to ask a question, if you want us to discuss a certain opinion you might have on Arsenal at the moment, please do get in touch. Go into the comments, start with Extra Time, give us your question, your opinion, your comment. And as always, I'll pull some of them together and try and get them included in the show. So recording that early afternoon, it should be out probably about 4 or 5 o'clock PM UK time. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And please do get your questions in. And that is it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you very, very soon. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.